Hello and welcome to the Cycling News podcast, brought to you in association with Prenda Ciclismo, Pitarello and Floyd's of Leadville. I'm your host Daniel Benson, and joining me tonight for the very first time, our own Josh Evans. Hello Josh.
Hello.
It's the end of stage 5 of the Tour de Suisse. Diego Ulissi has won. Richie Porte has moved into the yellow jersey. We're going to go through today's action, but we'll also hear from Andre Greipel on his riff with the Lotto Soudal management over contract negotiations. We'll hear from today's breakaway star, Larry Warbasse, and we'll hear from Richie Porte, the new race leader. But first, we're going to start with Mitchelton Scott. They kindly let us onto the team bus to listen to their team meeting this morning at the start. It's led by Matt Wilson, but you can also hear Rowan Kreuziger, Jack Haig, Michael Albacini, Christian Jensen, pretty much every single rider who's on the team, talking about the strategy, how they're going to take the race on. Obviously, they won 24 hours earlier with Jules Jensen, and their priority today was to keep Jack Haig in check and in contention for the mountaintop finish. So we're going to start with that.
And we come on to the last climb. Again, the Bellevue has split this onto a couple of different sections. So this is the very bottom part of the climb. It's about 4.5k, 4.5%, so it's not too bad. Then you're going to have a little flat spot here of a couple of K, and then you start this last part. So this is the last 14K to the top. Again, a little flat spot there in the middle. And the climb itself looks pretty consistent, sort of 6%. What does it say in the book?
The last 3K looked relatively easy.
Yeah, a bit easier through here. I don't know if you looked at the Kino map video that I sent through, the link that I sent through, but it's very straightforward climb. But yeah, it's definitely a little bit easier there in the final. This is just a little look at it. It's down on the flats here. That's the first part of the climb, the flat spot, and straight up to the finish.
Could be headwind through there, no? If it's
potentially, yeah.
The last 4K in the book says it's between like 2 and 5%.
Last 4K?
Yeah. So from like
fucking headwind.
kilometre 152 is 7.2%. And then from there on it's just 4, 4.8, 3, 1.8, 2.6, 5.2, 5.
It's like yesterday's climb, no?
Yeah.
The final.
This is a much harder climb.
Yeah.
So basic plan for today. I think it's a very different day to the last few days in that the breakaway, I don't think the breakaway is going to have, unless it's big, unless there's a few key teams in there, is going to have much chance of staying away. So really we're on Operation Jack today, making sure he's supported for as long as possible into that final climb. So I think, both Movistar and BMC have obviously come here for GC. This is a big GC day for them. If they pop someone in the break, and I don't think they will, maybe Movistar will, we need to have someone up there just to police it. But other than that, I don't think we should be interested in the break. Tomorrow's a different story. Tomorrow's a good day for the break. So, Alba, unless you've got a special idea there.
Well, the thing is, if there's a breakaway and you can anticipate the final a bit, the final itself doesn't look like super steep. Like it's more like a gradually uphill finish, but not like a super steep one. So thinking that it's maybe some headwind or whatever, it could be like
A finish you can do something on.
Yeah. So you don't need to be a proper climber. If you save yourself over Gran Montana, I don't know, it would be interesting.
A team like Movistar definitely has options. I reckon they might try and chuck Amador or someone in there.
Maybe. Yeah.
He's going for
The climb's fatigue when that's hard, Look, it's still going to be, could still potentially be pretty group right finish today.
Like yesterday's bunch.
Like it could be 30 guys.
I reckon it'll just be messy there in the final because it's not, because there won't be too many guys with a huge number of teammates that people will just start chipping off the front, and then like two will go, and then they'll come back, then two more, and then two will join them, and then it ends up being a group that can work. And it can end up being a smaller group that rises the inches of broken way unless there is a team with enough riders there.
That'll all depend on Crans Montana. If they take Crans Montana easy,
Yeah.
then there's going to be too many numbers in the last one that if it's headwind and it's slow, then you're going to have a big group. But if they go hard on Crans Montana and thin it out to 20, to thin it out to 20 or 30
And
guys,
because
it's today and
then it'll be uncontrollable.
Yeah.
On the last
And
one.
it seems like Movistar will try and do that and try and isolate Richie a little bit on the final climb because they've got the same
they
here
can
to have numbers.
Because like
They
with
can have
Parma,
5 guys.
They could have 5 teams.
Parma needs to gain some time before the time trial.
Yeah.
So if they wants to try to win the race, they need to do something today and tomorrow.
Yeah, exactly.
Who does Richie have here for climbing? Like they.
TJ, really?
Yeah.
Van Avermaet will go with a pretty small group too.
The marquee, he's like in the Giro, it's quite
He's
long.
been riding on the front of it. I spoke to him yesterday. He's been fun.
I reckon Van Avermaet can be there with 30 guys. Richie, TJ, like the way Kong's going, who knows?
Carol? Yeah, good. Kong's been popular
Yeah.
too. But look, up that HC, they're not going to. You're not going to have numbers if Movistar in the years back. So,
Which is also a good idea if it is a bigger group, that we maybe try and get some guys in the break, because then we'll be ahead of the lead group and can then help Jack on the lesser hard windy final climb.
we'll see what happens. If it is a big group and you can slip in, go for it. But I don't want like 6 guys up the road with one of us in it because it's
So
going
we
to be
just
pointless.
don't do anything until we get to the climb, the first climb, and the big groups start going. On the end, whoever can follow.
Because the last day on the first climb is solid.
Yeah,
So if it goes there, there will be the guys with the legs.
strongest guys. So the guys that aren't in that breakaway, looking after Jack, obviously, phase 2 guys who I'll get to in a second. Your finish line is going to be at the bottom of that HC climb at 106. And then the phase 3 guys to try and get Jack to the bottom of that last climb in good shape. So Jack leader for the day, Roman, phase 3, try and be there till that kilometre 146. Look, if Movistar do what we think they could possibly do, there might be only 20 guys left, but mate, as long as you can, stay with Jack.
I try to be there, but like last two days I'm not feeling good.
Not feeling great.
It's really like, well, I try to be there.
Alba, if you're not in that move, looking same thing, phase 3, try and be there for Jack in that final, into that final climb. Chris, no idea how you're going to feel today. You'll probably feel awesome knowing you. But yeah, just do what you can. Do what you can. Feel like you can go in a move, a big move, great. If not, just try and get Jack to the bottom of the second last climb. Cam and Sam, same plan, into kilometre 106, making sure he's in good position and happy as well. Same plan. So as far as bottle points, Vittorio's going to go to the top of the first climb, and then you'll have Dan at the top of the HC.
Yeah.
We'll have no one into that bottom climb because they have the numbers as he had to come in the bus today. So
If it does rain, I've got tea.
oh, great, okay. Yeah, good. But yeah, big job. Whoever's those phase 3 guys that are there with Jack in that final is to make sure he's got a bottle coming into that final climb because that'll be his last chance. All good? Good.
Prenda Ciclismo provide their customers worldwide with unique cycle clothing that's great quality without a premium price. With knowledgeable cyclists as staff and free shipping on qualifying international orders, truly excellent service awaits you. Visit Prenda Ciclismo online at prendis.co.uk.
Josh, what did you get up to this morning at the start?
I have been looking at tech all of this week, so we're in stage 5 now, so I've seen most of the tech on show this week so far. If you've been paying attention to cyclingnews.com tech section of the website, you've seen new bikes from Specialized, which was seen at the Dauphiné actually, Trek, and at this race we've seen a new aero bike from Ridley too.
What stood out for you in terms of really exciting products?
The big ones are from Specialized and Trek. The Specialized is a whole new bike. We're not entirely sure what it is yet, but they only make one aero road frame, and we all know the name of that. It hasn't been announced. Specialized are keeping quiet about it, but I'm sure we'll find out in a few weeks' time.
I don't understand the secrecy or their attempted secrecy because it's on show. It's in the public domain. Anyone with a camera can go and take a photo of it. It doesn't have to be a journalist. I don't get it.
It's very true. And they've put tape over the decals where the model of the frame sits on the seat stays. And if you look very closely, it's 5 letters.
I know nothing about tech or bikes. I actually have to have my hand held when it comes to this kind of stuff. So I remember being at a race like 2 years ago, probably at Dauphiné, and I asked someone from a team, what's new on your bikes, and he said, just go and look at it, you'll be able to tell, and it's obvious because it had a new road bike or something. And I literally put it against the one that was new and one that was current, and I actually had no idea what was different. Colour, size. I mean, then they just felt sorry for me and I think just gave me a spec. But yeah, I'm terrible at stuff like that. But no, it's
yeah, they're usually pretty subtle changes. It's quite refreshing to see the new specialised aero bike, which model we do not know yet. It has actually got some fairly significant changes from the current iteration, and a lot of the riders are riding it, which tends to be a good sign for the bike. So a lot of the time they're pushed with new products, and if only 1 or 2 of them are riding it, it's maybe not as good as the manufacturer's making out.
Jakob Fuglsang's got a new paint job on his Argon. I've noticed that. I did get a press release that was telling me about it, but I did notice
It's a very good spot. It's not hard to miss, but well
it's
done.
pretty good. I quite like it. I think he's you're not so sure.
I'm not sure. They did one for Lutsenko and also...
What?
They've done 3 for Astana this year. And I think Fuglsang's probably my least favourite.
Least favourite, fair enough. Well, let's move on. This morning wasn't just about tech and Mitchelton Scott. It was also about Andre Greipel. We went to go and speak to him, and I spoke to him at length actually at Tour Down Under. Had a really good chat with him just about his career and where he was going, and he kind of made it clear that Lotto was almost his second family for him, and he's been with them since 2011. He's had huge success and it's been a wonderful relationship, but he's out of contract, at the end of this season, and that team have been heavily linked to Caleb Ewan. And Greipel told us that he has been offered a new contract for the next 2 years, but he's not happy with the terms, thinks it's wrong what he's been given, and he wants more in terms of, I don't think it's just salary, perhaps responsibility too. And the interesting point was that yesterday we spoke to Paul de Gaeta, who's the general manager, and he said, I've not offered him a contract, and categorically said that several times in an interview with us on the phone. And when we put that to Greipel, it was you listen to the sound recording that we're about to hear, it's just incredible.
It's a phenomenal interview.
Only by chance, just because he's taken aback by what De Gaeta said. He reacts emotionally. Then we have a press officer called over who looks to diffuse the situation, does his job and makes some good points, actually, to be fair to Arnie. And then I end up, because when I'm doing the interview, I'm thinking, well, did he really say this? Did De Gaeta really say this? So I end up reading the quotes back to Greipel, just for his benefit as well as mine. And then there's this kind of awkward, long pause like that. And but anyway, but without further ado, this is Andre Greipel this morning at the start. And
it is very good. Enjoy.
Thanks for him for talking and being so honest. I've read various different reports about what you're going to do for the future, and it seems to change no matter depending on which paper you read, which day.
And you have to write this all over again.
Well, I thought I'd come to you and ask you directly rather than pick it up.
No, I cannot say so much about it. That's the only thing. I also just read everything what is in the newspapers or in articles.
Yeah.
And that's.
So what is the latest situation?
The latest situation is that I'm negotiating with the team. That is.
And so, has anything been offered yet so far for the team?
No, I have an offer.
Okay.
But I'm not happy with the offer.
Okay. Because I spoke to Paul de Gaete yesterday, and he said there's no offer yet. He said that there's no offer yet.
They gave me an offer, and quite unfair offer. So that's all.
Okay. And
he said he didn't give an offer.
He told me yesterday on the phone, and it goes on Cycling News today, that there's no offer, but he sees you on Friday.
Then he was lying.
Does he see you on Friday?
I hope he will come, yeah.
Okay. And if I'm not going to put words into your mouth, but if I say that is the offer a 1-year deal that he has offered you?
No.
It's 2?
It's 2 years, yeah.
Okay.
But when he says no offer, then probably it's no offer when he says that. Okay. So I was on the wrong place on the wrong time, or
yeah. And you said
I'm surprised that he says that, but
I'm pretty sure. I mean, I'm looking up on my laptop, but you're making me doubt it now. But I'm pretty accurate in terms of this quote. But you said you weren't happy with it. You said,
repeat this, please.
Oh yeah, Paul told me yesterday that Andre hasn't been made an offer yet.
He knows it better than I do.
Okay.
No, but what can I answer on this? Then he's lying.
I think there were already few discussions.
Okay.
But discussion is not finished yet, I think so.
I can get you the quote right now if you wish to see.
Then he must be right. Then there's no offer when he says this.
But this offer that you think you got, what were you not happy about with it? Just was it not the length of it?
I mean, this stays between me and the team, but when he says there's no offer, so then I'm really disappointed. Let's say that.
Okay. But you want to stay with the team?
I would love to stay. Yes.
Yeah. And would you want to stay in? Does it depend on what role you have with the team? For example,
I think my role. I think I'm quite the same. So I won 4 races in 2 weeks. So even with small races, but I think I'm still the same. The numbers are the same. The wattage is the same. So I don't see myself dropping in my performances.
Have you talked to other teams as well?
I keep this for me. Okay. But of course I have to look for possibilities.
Okay. And you're looking at, you want a 2-year deal obviously, and to stay well.
I always said that a 2-year deal is something safe, especially when you saw what can happen. This year I crashed in March, so nearly 3 months were without competition. So when you have a 1-year deal, it's not easy.
Okay, so the quotes that I have from Paul maybe a little bit confusing. So he says, I've heard that we've offered him a 1-year deal, but that's not correct. That source needs to check his information better. I've understood that Andre wants to have a 2-year contract. Sure, we want to keep him and have him on the team, and the hope that we find an agreement. But he also said there are 2 things. I need to talk about the team for the upcoming years. I hope that Andre will stay on the level he can be to be the number 1 sprinter. But I wouldn't be a good manager if I didn't think that maybe if there was a problem, that we had an alternative. I'd love him to stay as the number 1 sprinter for sure. We still need to talk figures. I've not offered him a deal at all. We've just talked about the future and how we see things. We had a really good talk around April, I think just after around Amstel. And we both discussed the future, but we decided to take some time and we're going to meet in Switzerland. So
then you know more than me. So,
but it seems unclear as to if you say you have been offered a contract, and he says he hasn't.
I got an offer. That's all.
Okay,
I can say. But I hope I have another talk with him on Friday.
Just finally then, if Caleb comes to the team, could you be on the same team as another sprinter of that level, same level?
cannot say something because it's all just rumors. So if there's no communication from the team who is going to come or not, then I cannot say something about it.
You've been on this.
For sure, Caleb is a nice guy.
Yeah, sure.
With a lot of potential for the future.
Yeah. Okay, finally then. You've been with this team since 2009, I think. 11, sorry. You've been very loyal to the team and they've shown you loyalty too, and you've won a lot of victories together. I think you said in January it's like a family unit, the lead out guys you've had with you for so long. Does it feel like you're being treated fairly?
Let's say it's time is passing and you get older, so somehow you have to be confronted with things like this, and
I think those two things are also two different things next to each other. On the one side you have the things you achieved, the respect between riders, staff, and on the other hand you have the negotiations about the contract. Less difficult or more difficult, that's another thing, I guess.
No, but that's how it is. I mean, you're not getting younger, and I understand the team totally that they want to invest also in younger riders, because somehow my career will be finished sooner or later, and then it's not nice to have a spot free without a sprinter.
And if Andre doesn't sign with the team for the upcoming years, the respect for him between Martin and the staff will be the same about 8 years. And if he resigns with the team, of course, also then the respect will be the same, and this period will be forgotten. Then I think that those months and weeks are not easy, of course, not for him, also not for the team, I guess. So. Just clarification I give, but I think it's true.
That's all what I can say. And the thing with Caleb, it's also just rumors. It's I think until the teams don't communicate anything, and him or then it's just rumors. And
so that was Greipel. It's a really difficult situation because he's coming to the end of his career, maybe 2 years left, maybe a little bit more, we don't know. But Caleb Ewan is one of the up-and-coming sprinters, and Lotto have a history of being home for such riders. You look at Greipel, you go back to McEwen before that, and you can go back even further. I mean, guys like Mazeu came through as a sprinter back in the day. What would you do if you were the Lotto GM?
Try and find the money for both of those riders. I personally think Greipel's got a lot more to give. And if it's perhaps in 12 or 18 months' time not winning, I think if they're getting in a young and upcoming sprinter, there's a lot that they can learn of someone who's had such a successful career as Andre Greipel. Yeah,
I think there's a really good argument on both sides, because Tegater's come in and he doesn't have that perhaps emotional attachment to riders that perhaps Marc Sargent does and did. And I kind of liken the situation to Wenger and Arsenal, who would be this kind of almost father figure for these footballers that perhaps should have been moved on a little bit earlier, even though there was still some success there. And Greipel's different because he's consistently been successful. I know he hasn't won a Grand Tour stage win since maybe 2016, but he's won more than Ewan already this season. And if you're going to put a bet on who's going to win more at the Tour this year in a head-to-head, you'd probably say Greipel would edge it just on experience. But you have to pay for what's coming up rather than what's happened in the past. And I think that's a mistake that a number of teams have made, where they've bought riders on the back of what they've won previously, whereas the best thing to do is to pick up talent before it hits that sweet spot.
Well, yeah, I agree with that to an extent. But I think when you're buying older riders, there's a difference between riders that are over the hill and riders that are yet to go over the hill. And I don't think Greipel's not at the best that he ever was now, but he's still winning and he's still going to win bike races. And you're not signing him for somebody who won a monument 5 years ago. He's winning races, as you just said, he's winning races this year.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. I think it's a very difficult situation, and there's also the emotional attachment of having a rider that's been with that team and built that whole lead out around him. But they too are coming to near enough the end. I think Lars Backes and Seberg, Hansen too, they're all mid to late 30s, so they are. It is at some point they will have to refresh that squad, and sprinters of Ewan's caliber don't come around very often, so it is a very difficult situation. But we hope that Andre, I guess, lands on his feet, of course.
I'm sure he will.
Yeah, I think there'll definitely be teams out there looking for him that will treat him the right way. I think, perhaps saying that there wasn't a contract when Andre thinks there was is confusing and doesn't send out the right message, perhaps. But I think that maybe we don't know if that contract offer was literally a piece of paper or just a phone call, or your word or a handshake. So we don't know the whole situation, but hopefully it's sorted soon. Let's move on. Let's talk about today's stage. We missed most of it because we were in the car. It's a long transfer, and but it all came together for those last two climbs. Big headwind though, which kind of nullified a lot of it, didn't it?
Yeah, I mean, we saw multiple little attacks towards the end there. I think Carmajan was the last man standing from the original break, but they soon swept him up. And then we saw Carthy and Bedard from AG2R go with about 7 or 8 kilometres to go. I say it was the two of them. It was really Carthy led that attack. I don't think I saw Bedard take a turn. And then once they got about a 15-second gap, we saw a big acceleration from Lander in the big ring, and I don't think he came out of the big ring. And eventually...
Still in it now.
He jettisoned Bedard pretty much straight away. Carthy hung on for dear life and then was eventually dropped off Lander too, and he looked like he had it in the bag. I think we're kind of been like, okay, Lander's got this. Who else do we need to focus on when we were at the finish line? But then, the headwind played, I think, more of a role than we were expecting.
Yeah, there was that massive acceleration from Matthias Frank, and that brought it down from maybe 100 metres to 50 metres. But then Ulisi hit the front really early and just wound it all up himself. And I think you kind of, the headwind played a factor, and no disrespect to some of the riders that were up there, but it was a real summit finish, and they were really going for it, and it wasn't such a big group. Maybe you wouldn't have seen guys like Slagter up there, who's a good climber in his own right, one-day specialist, and same with Ulisi to a certain degree. But Ulisi looked very good, didn't he?
He did. I mean, Mass was the only guy that really got anywhere near to him. Yeah, he was a good 4 or 5 bike lengths off, I think. I think they all got the same time. The top, I think maybe 15
I watched that
guys.
back and I couldn't believe that, because there were some big time gaps, I thought, between those top guys.
Yeah, so it was down to top 15 got the same time, and Sivakov was in 16th place at 7 seconds back. But on my count, Slagter, who came in third, was a good 2 seconds behind Ulisi. There was definitely light in between those wheels. So.
Yeah. Moving on then, let's hear from Larry Warbass. He was in the break, and obviously he won a stage here last year in the race. I think he was telling me that he attacked from the point where he won last year today. Just couldn't get over those last 2 climbs with a big enough lead. I think they had 3 minutes at the foot of the last climb, and then obviously with the headwind, that was a major factor. But we spoke to him after his podium. I think he got the most courageous rider award.
Yeah, one of the most combative.
Combative, sorry. So this is Larry at the finish today. Long day out there for you, trying to go for another breakaway after last year, I guess.
Yeah, I knew, today would be a decent chance for the breakaway, but BMC wasn't having it. I tried on the first climb and it didn't go, and so I knew it'd suit me better if I could get in on the flat, because maybe I'm a bit better on the flat than a lot of other climbers, and got in there with some really strong guys. But I mean, we had to ride so hard, and then I went for it on the climb, but I think we had less than 3 minutes with 50k to go, so that's a long way to go alone.
What about the conditions with the headwind? Was that the killer?
That was actually probably the biggest issue. Is I wanted to go from the bottom of the second to last climb, but the wind was so strong that I knew I couldn't go for that long. So I gave it everything, but the wind wasn't in my favor, and the race behind wasn't in my favor either. So gave it all, and it was actually a really fun day out. So
what is it about this race that brings out the best in you in some ways?
I don't know. I love it. I really like Suisse. I like Tour de Suisse. And maybe the roads suit me well. Not super steep climbs, stuff like that. And maybe it's just this time of year. I'm always in good condition. So I just always really focus on this race, and especially this year, I think it's one of our biggest races of the year. So it's always a pleasure to do well here, and just happens. I think I went in the break at the bottom of Villars-sur-Hollande is where I got in it. So the stage I won last year was kind of funny. I don't know. Maybe this region's just really good for me, Valais.
And where do you go from here?
After this race, I go back to defend my national championship. We'll see. I'll give it everything.
And 2 more days left here as well. 2 more opportunities.
Absolutely.
Maybe?
Definitely. I'll give everything. So we'll see. Yeah.
So Porte now leads 20 seconds from the Ooman, and Wilco Kelderman, who looks very good considering he's had 3 months off with collarbone break and resulting nerve damage from that crash in Tirreno. Let's hear from Richie Porte, the new race leader. Today go as planned?
It wasn't an easy stage. I think we covered first 100k in a couple of hours. It was full gas, but I think the guys were really good today. They did a perfect job. I didn't feel the best today, so I'm happy to have been able to hold on there.
What did you make of Movie Star's tactics? They sent Lander up the road and then...
I think that was always going to be what was going to happen, but it was a pretty stiff headwind, so I don't know, maybe it wasn't the best move, but I guess they had to try.
And for you, were you worried when he went across, or went away? Because I think he's like 36 seconds, but...
not really. I think, Greg had it under control, and then TJ Van Garderen did a super job there as well. Then it obviously became about the stage win, and it came back pretty quickly.
And in terms of this jersey for you, you've got it probably 3 more days tomorrow. What do you make of the stage? Because obviously it's tough, but...
Yeah, look, obviously going up to 2,500 metres out on Furka Pass is not very easy. We've got a good team to control it, so fingers crossed for a nice day.
Porte looks decent. His team look very good too. He did lose a little bit of ground in that finale, but he didn't have to do a turn because I think the likes of Van Garderen and Van Avermaet and De Marchi too did a huge amount of work. And Kung, of course, he was the yellow jersey until today. What have you made of the BMC performance?
I think starting with the team time trial at any race is going to give the upper hand to BMC, as we know. I don't know how many of the last...
They've lost 2. They've lost 2 since you or I were born. I think they won... They lost in the Dauphiné, but they didn't have a very good squad there. Or not as good, obviously, certainly not as good as when they got here. And they lost the Worlds to Sunweb. And they've lost the Worlds before to Quickstep, but I think in the last 2 or 3 years, I think they've lost 2, I think.
Yeah. They've had the top half of the top 10 in the GC all week. Kung's obviously been in the yellow jersey the first 4 stages. Today's the first real GC shake-up, seeing as stages 2, 3 and 4 were pretty much reduced bunch finishes. So all the contenders were up in there for the past few days, I think.
Yeah, I'm disappointed with Movistar today. I know they had Lander up the front, but I expected a little bit more from them. Anacona, I think he lost a little bit of time, and Quintana, I think he's just saving himself at this point. Probably was willing to see Lander go out the front, and then out the back. But yeah, we still got 2 more mountain stages to come, 1 more summit finish, and then the time trial, and then potentially 1 more stage for the sprinters. You spoke to Sagan actually, didn't you, today?
Today, yeah. I asked him whether he thinks that he might be in for the win tomorrow. He said he's not sure whether he'll get over the climbs. He said his legs feel good, but he doesn't know how good the legs of everyone else is.
It's a long descent from that last climb.
Yeah, I think we're going to miss the first half of the race, as I think the majority of people are, because there won't be any TV coverage. But we'll keep you updated on live.cyclingnews.com as best we can tomorrow. But yeah, I think it's going to be another reduced bunch, and I think the main contenders are all going to be there.
Gilbert, Alpecini, well, maybe a day for those guys.
Possibly, yeah. The other point I wanted to make is looking at the guys that have come off the back of the Giro. As it stands tonight, in the top 10, we've got Oomen in 3rd place and also the best young rider. Jack Haig is in 5th place, and Diego Ulissi, who obviously won the stage, is in 8th place. And Christopher Jensen, of course, won yesterday. He also rode the Giro. And what a difference a day makes compared to the Dauphiné, where I think pretty much everyone who came off the back of the Giro abandoned in the first few stages. I think there was only 2 or 3 riders left by the time I left the race, halfway through.
Yeah, that's true. Well, that's about all we've got time for today on the Cycling News podcast. We will try and squeeze in 1 more before we go home, which will be Friday morning. We're not here for the final few stages. But thank you for joining us. Thanks, Josh. And we'll be back later in the week.
Thank you.